Hello, and welcome to another Dropping the Hammer feature. I'm Dale McFadin. The next gen car, it's 5 months away from seeing the track in real competition NASCAR Cup Series. But this week, the new car got its first serious test at Daytona International Speedway with 8 cars on track for the first time. This was a step up from the previous high of 2 cars at Charlotte Motor Speedway back in the winter with Martin Truex Jr. and Kurt Busch. Among the drivers who participated in the test were Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, Cole Custer, Joey Logano, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and William Byron, and a couple others. It was a mix of drivers who have been in the car before and drivers who were experiencing it for the first time, like Hamlin, Stenhouse, and Chris Buescher. Repeat drivers included Chastain, Byron, and Cole Custer, along with Austin Dillon. William Byron and Denny Hamlin were made available today by NASCAR for media availability, and they shared their thoughts on the car and the test and where it is at its development. We'll start off with William Byron, who shared his thoughts on how different the car he drove this week was to the one he tested for the first time early last year at Auto Club Speedway.
Very different in terms of the details. Um, the rear view camera, that's a big difference that I think we all underestimated the ability of that. Um, the interior design of the car was a lot more similar to the current car than I thought it would be. We spent a lot of time at the shop trying to get that right, make sure my seat position was good. I sit slightly lower than I do in my current car, which I don't like. So we're going to work on that. Um, the steering is still work in progress. I don't know if it's really the steering or if it's the tire and the stiffness of the sidewall and also the stiffness of the suspension parts and things. So that is an interesting kind of work in progress because I feel like that's gonna throw some guys off because you're not, moving the wheel as much and the car's very responsive to everything. So that's interesting. Very normal in the shifter. Feel really good about that. The drafting aspect of the car was okay. I think the speeds were a little bit lower than the current car, but some of the similar characteristics and pushing and things like that were still there. So that's kind of my general summary.
When you say the steering is responsive, is that good or is that bad? Like, what can you kind of explain that a little deeper?
It could be both. I think it's good in the fact that it takes less effort. The car's quicker to respond. It's definitely going to be a good thing on short tracks. I think about Martinsville, how much easier it's going to be on the drivers, and then also just it's just going to be easier. The car's going to turn better at a short track, I think. But when it comes to Daytona, it was very easy to go around the corner almost with no effort. And I don't know if that's exactly what you want. Typically at Daytona, you want to have some forgiveness, just, if you get out of shape or something like that, and to be able to save it. So I think everyone's very interested to kind of see how it is when you do get out of shape and whether or not you can, correct it and keep going or what. So that's probably the question we all have. And it's probably going to take until somebody, crashes and in a big pack to kind of see. So, that's probably my biggest question. I think it's a good thing and something to still work on too.
One development that came out of this test, or one that some people like me found out about for the first time, was the rear view camera, not mirror, camera. Every car, at least as of right now, has a rear view camera installed that doubles as the rear view mirror. So there will be a rear view mirror thing up here that's actually a camera that will, though if it fails or if you, I guess, don't want to use it, can then revert to just an actual mirror. William Byron, here are his thoughts on this new contraption.
Yeah, so I liked it. I the way my seat position was and everything, I couldn't really see very well out of the real mirror, on the top. And I think that's just something, that we can definitely get ironed out and fix. But yeah, that was so I kind of used the rear view camera instead the whole time, and felt like it was really good and accurate. Kind of, see the spoiler, and it seemed like the refresh rate on the camera was pretty accurate. So I think that's going to be a tool. I'm not sure how many guys will use it right away, but I'm sure over time, if you've got access to electronics like that, it's better than the alternative of not. So I think over time, guys will adapt to it and use it.
One driver who, as of right now, is opting out of using that mirror, will be Denny Hamlin. He did not use it at the test, and here are his thoughts on why.
I didn't run it. It was our personal choice not to run it. For me personally, I have been in vehicles that have had a rear view camera while you're driving. I didn't like it. To me, it just kind of crosses my eyes, makes me a little dizzy, when I look at it. But the reason that we have those is because the visibility isn't as good. These cars are a little bit higher off of the ground, and so we need to be able to see. So they put in a camera back there. So I think that they can fix some things with the spoiler, bring the carbon fiber part of the spoiler down, increase the Lexan size. That will certainly help with the vision. But I think that the camera is probably something that I really won't explore.
Now here's Byron sharing his thoughts on how comfortable he was in the draft with about 8 cars at once.
Yeah, so a lot of us compared it, like the runs were not as big as the current car. Maybe a little bit more like the Xfinity package where there's a little bit more gap there. But once you were close to somebody, you could still push and affect that car and go forward, and we could still run 2 wide. So I don't know if the energy was enough with 8 cars to really know what the draft is going to be like for sure. But it sounds like we're going to do another test in January at Daytona, and we'll definitely be pushing and shoving there if there's 20 plus cars, and have a better idea of kind of what it's going to feel like.
Well, I think NASCAR's always kind of refined different aerodynamic packages to make the racing as good as they can. Of course, what we have now is kind of on the extreme scale where it's huge runs, cars are able to push each other and not spin out without even when they hit each other. These cars a little bit more edgy in that sense where they don't take getting pushed quite as well, but still it's we have to just figure out what kind of racing we're going to want to try to achieve, whether it be the old style where there was a big bubble and the leader could really block and block the runs coming, or do we want to have the kind of like we have now? I think that we can achieve either one. It's just a matter of what their preference is going to be, and obviously the safety side is going to be a preference to them to whatever keeps these cars on the ground, keeps them from turning over. Those are all going to play a factor into what NASCAR decides. But ultimately, my initial impressions were, it definitely didn't have big runs. The runs took very, very long to try to build. But again, we just had, a few. We had only 7-8 cars out there, which that changes things a little bit. But still, I've been in 5-car packs that have been a lot different than that before. So. It just takes time to get it right. I mean, again, this is the first time this car's been on this type of racetrack. They're playing around with different horsepowers and spoiler sizes, so they'll it's just a lot different because the air is coming underneath the car now, where that used to be a pocket of air that got built, which created a run.
Like I said, this was Denny Hamlin's first time driving the next-gen car. Here, in the last few months, Hamlin's been vocal about NASCAR not being transparent on safety regarding the next-gen car and information that it has recorded from tests, specifically a crash test at Talladega Superspeedway. Hamlin was asked today, after getting in the car for the first time, where his position is on the next gen car and safety?
I would say I'm a little bit more educated on it. In general, there was a little bit more time when they can sit with you one-on-one and discuss things. I still have questions, but I think that really I have to see all the information to really understand the questions that I want to have. But certainly, I mean, we're going to end up racing it. We're going to race it, so we're all going to have to get comfortable.
And how do you solve the heat problem in that car?
I'm not sure. I mean, it is a concern. It's a big concern. Obviously, it's difficult because it's the way the car designed. The design of it, having where the exhaust is all boxed in, running right underneath the seat right there. It's just, I mean, it's hot. I mean, it's 450 degrees down in that box, so it's super hot. And then you got the exhaust, all the hot radiator flowing right into the side into the car from the hood. So I don't really know. I think they're gonna have to really make some big changes to it to make some change, something that will allow us to finish races without having major issues. But yeah, I mean, I think they made some gains with some stuff that they did with Austin Dillon later in the day, hopefully.
Thank you guys for joining me for this Dropping the Hammer feature. I'm Daniel McFadin. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more NASCAR news updates. Also, please subscribe to Dropping the Hammer on your favorite podcasting platform. And again, thank you guys for watching.